Just for a second, try to imagine being one of the monkeys in Bloons Tower Defense. No matter what you do, there is no escaping from the forever war against the Bloon army, and just to top it off, every time you try farming some bananas to enjoy for yourself, they're forcibly taken away from you as a means of raising even more money for a war you never asked to be a part of. Now, I don't mean to be so political, but I am the mayor of a bustling Bloons monkey city, so it's kinda my job. And I say, it's time to end monkey suffering once and for all. Well, at least in BTD5 anyways. Y'all in the 6th game got a whole 3rd dimension added, you don't need my help, okay? But as you would imagine, the rules to this challenge are pretty simple. I have 1 hour to farm as many bananas as I possibly can, and I have to use actual banana farms to do this, so I can't use the sniper supply crate for example. I also have to farm them all in a single game, and I can't use fast track mode to skip the early rounds either. One last thing, I won't be using any premium upgrades, so that means no double cash to make things easy because that'd be kinda boring. And if you want to try this in BTD6, any monkey knowledge you have is 100% allowed. I have the BTD5 equivalent of my monkey lab maxed out, which is definitely going to help me. And if you do end up enjoying the video, definitely consider subscribing because it genuinely helps the channel a lot. But with that out of the way, let's get into it. The first thing I'm going to do is enable the Monkey Engineer special this building, because that tower is already incredibly powerful in the early game, and now it will also get super sentries which are stronger than normal and can pop lead balloons as well. For once, I'm actually skipping right over the map express shipping and instead going with an advanced one, which is probably a bit risky, but this particular map, at least I believe, allows you to place more farms than any other in the game. Fittingly, it's literally named Cash Money, so I believe that was fully intentional by Ninja Kiwi as well. Now I am going to be playing on easy mode, and my plan is to start with a 0-0 engineer on each entrance, and I'm using the same timing rules as the BTD5 speedrunning community, so the timer officially begins when I start round 1. I also made sure auto start is disabled, because it's actually quicker to begin the round yourself by using the spacebar. With that being said, we're ready to go, and I'm actually going to start the timer first, and wait for it to hit 10 seconds before beginning the round, so I'll technically be stopping when the timer hits 1 hour and 10 seconds, but 3, 2, 1, boom, let's go. First off, I've got to get both engineers up to a 1-0 as quickly as possible, because that should be enough to hold off the balloons for a bit while I farm. Specifically, I'm going to go for 2-0 farms first, because they're the second most efficient farm for their price, behind the 4-2. Speaking of which, the banana factory is interesting because it produces crates instead of regular bunches, and they're worth 10 times as much, so I think it's fair to assume they also contain 10 bunches of bananas each. Before I can think about getting my first factory though, I'm actually going to get a couple ninja monkeys before the first camo balloon comes out on round 24. Obviously I could afford to leak it, but that would waste a few seconds, and I'm going to need camo detection anyway, so might as well take care of it now. After that, I really got to work on growing my farms, and eventually I was able to afford my first factory, and I did buy the valuable bananas upgrade on it, but even though that makes each crate worth 600 instead of 400, that doesn't mean each crate now has 15 bunches of bananas. It's just that each bunch is more valuable than before, so it's 10 more valuable bunches. And I know the title of this video is Can You Farm 100,000 Bananas, but really I am trying to get 100,000 bunches of bananas, which is probably like, what, 300,000 or 400,000 individual bananas? But like, can you imagine how lame that would be if I actually counted it that way? I'm like, I'm gonna farm 100,000 bananas, guys, but each bunch is 4 bananas, so it's really 25,000 bunches. And then I just kept on making excuses, and it was just, yeah, no. But in any case, it didn't take very long to beat easy mode, which means I'm now technically entering free play, but the next 35 rounds are still gonna be normal at least. It's not until you get past round 85 that the true free play chaos begins, with dozens or even hundreds of 0MGs. On round 58, I did buy a 2-4 ninja because I remembered that the next round is camo lead balloons, and then I had the idea that if I could just get a max tempo really quick, it would be easy enough to fill the rest of the map with farms and probably not have to worry about getting much more defense for most of the run. So that's what I did. Even though there has to be more efficient ways to defend than this, like, you really don't need a max tempo yet, and I was clearly wasting some time just trying to set it up, but alas, once I did finally have it, I was able to fill the rest of the map with banana factories and position some banana farmers to make sure none of the crates got missed. So at this point, I have 44 factories, and let's do a bit of simple math on that. Each crate contains 10 bunches of bananas like we said, and a factory produces 5 crates per round. So that's 50 bunches of bananas per factory per round. Multiply that by 44, and you'll find that every single round right now, I am farming 2,200 bunches of bananas. That's a total market value of $132,000. So needless to say, these monkeys are about to be certified ballers. In order to supplement the temple, I did start finding places I could fit technological terrors in as well, and I also got some Bloons sabotage ninjas. With the speed ramping that occurs in free play mode, Having a slowdown that works on ZOMGs is probably going to be pretty useful, but keep in mind, I've already said that I thought getting a max tempo would basically be enough defense for the whole run, so I figured adding all this extra defense in addition to that would surely allow me to just chill out for the next 40-ish minutes, and that would be it. I mean, yeah, I'll have to be here to start each round and use the abilities when they're needed, but surely that will be the extent of it. To be fair though, at this point, each round is already starting to take nearly a minute to complete, so it's not like I'm guaranteed to hit my goal exactly. Now, I do just want to say really quick, if you didn't know, I do actually have channel membership set up, and you can also use code Phenom in the BTD6 and Bloons Card Storm shops in order to help support the channel. But of course, if you don't want to do that, engaging with the video also helps me a ton. Now, as far as the challenge goes, I have to say I was really caught off guard by the sheer power of the Bloons by around the 35-minute mark. I guess I just really thought that on easy difficulty, the free play ramping wouldn't be so intense. So I did the unthinkable, and sold 3 of my farms to get more tech terrors, but I think straight up losing because I didn't have enough defense would probably be a lot worse. And it's not like I'm 58 minutes into the run or something either, where I could actually justify trying to hold out until the end. All this extra defense really did make a difference as well, and I also realized it was pretty dumb of me not to fill these 2 water areas with 2-4 monkey subs, since they have a special ability that can one-shot ZOMGs. Well, maybe not the free play ZOMGs with extra health, but still. I also did sell 3 more farms to get even more tech terrors, so now I'm down to just 38 factories or 1900 bunches of bananas every round. So I think I really do have to try to play smart here and clear out the end of each round as quickly as I can in order to save a few seconds each time. Obviously, you can't make most of the round any quicker because there are always going to be more balloons to come, but once you're on the last wave, you can certainly try clearing that one out as soon as possible. I feel like this was allowing me to get the rounds done more quickly, but then a series of unfortunate events occurred. Okay, well, two unfortunate events occurred. First, my laptop battery warned me it was low, which should be no big deal, right? I just used my foot to get the cord up to me so I could plug it in without actually having to take both hands off the keyboard, and wow, that sounds really sad when I say it out loud. But yeah, point being, it shouldn't have been a big deal, until I realized it also froze my timer. Now, I was using Live Split, which has been buggy for me in the past, so I don't know what to say. I guess I have myself to blame. So I decided from here on out that I would just time it with OBS, but I had already wasted a bit of time pausing the game. And speaking of the game, it decided to freeze basically immediately afterwards, so yeah. I definitely lost some time there. But despite my annoyance, I soldiered on with the run, and wouldn't you know it, within the last few minutes, my defense was already struggling again. This time I did want to try to hold out until I hit the 1 hour mark, and I thought I was going to make it, but nope, I think that was just over a minute shy. It's hard to tell because I was already recording with OBS for over a minute before I began the run, but when I looked in CapCut, it was like exactly 59 minutes of gameplay, so I lost 1 round at the end and probably at least 1 more with the other shenanigans. But now, the big question. Did I successfully farm 100,000 bunches of bananas? Well, I had 19 factories by the start of round 63, and none of them were sold the whole time, so keeping in mind I beat round 149 before losing, that's 87 full rounds where I was getting at least 950 bunches per round, and we're gonna get to the rest of the factories, but that's already 82,650 bunches. By the start of round 84, I had my peak of 44 factories, which lasted until the end of round 119 when I had to sell a few off. So you subtract the 19 I've already accounted for the entire time, and you get 25 factories times 33 rounds for another 41,250 bunches. Of course, once I sold 6 farms, I survived for another 27 rounds, which means you can subtract the 19 accounted for factories from 38 total this time, and multiply 27 rounds by 19 factories to get an additional 25,650. This brings our grand total up to a pretty solid 149,550 bunches of bananas. Of course, there's also a ton I didn't even bother counting, like I had 41 factories by round 78 and had just forgotten to get the last 3 for a few rounds. Also, there's literally the entire beginning that would be a lot more difficult to calculate, but surely the number is a good bit higher than that 149,000 figure. So the answer to the title question is yes, you can certainly farm 100,000 bananas or even 100,000 bunches of them in just 1 hour. And if you were more optimal than me, I'm sure the limit is far beyond what I managed to reach here. But hey, at least my monkeys are going to be eating good for a while now, and they certainly deserve it considering everything I've put them through in some of my previous challenges. And if you like this video, check out the one on the center of your screen, it's probably one of my best ones ever.